Wow, this landscape is absolutely breathtaking. How do you plan to tackle that huge beast ahead?
Hello. How's everyone doing today? Hope y'all are doing well. We're doing some space engineers today. Really hope that I can try to put that there. Good. All right. All right. Yeah, we're gonna be doing some space engineers tonight, and gonna be doing a little bit of data building. Yeah. I have a few interesting parts of stories that I've kind of thought through a bit more, and I kind of want to just discuss them while trying to build a new ship. I think we'll probably try to build a new fighter, so it'll be in the we'll be loading in the world that we had been playing, been doing the missiles. I'm going to be building it on that world. And yeah, it's gonna be a small-ish fighter. Hopefully being able to get into fairly small locations. And that's kind of the idea. I also want to potentially use some modded weapons. So we're gonna see about doing a couple interesting things with some mods. And then yeah, I don't think I have the mods. No, I don't. Alright. There's a specific set of mods that I want to add in. Find them. Extra cannons. 1 and 2. Good. Alright. And we're gonna just hop on in. We're gonna hopefully make some interesting stuff, and then we're gonna be done. The other thing that I might start doing, depending on how quickly I make this fighter, is I might start designing some of the other ships. I think I'm going to end up with a another version of the patrol vehicle, starting from a different point. possibly starting from a point of uh, starting with the cockpit rather than starting with any of the other areas. But yeah, we're gonna have some interesting designs. Hopefully make a lot of things look good, and then yeah. I just realized something that's a bit odd with this is that this looks like this is on a station. So what would those thrusters be doing? Like I just realized that this looks like it's an image of a station, and so thrusters in the background don't make much sense. Either way, yeah. So one of the things we're gonna end up doing today is basically I'm gonna spend most of the day kind of filling out some stuff because I kind of had a few interesting ideas about a story that I want to end up making, and yeah, I just have some interesting concepts with that I kind of want to maybe talk about, maybe see how it goes. I know part of that is, yeah, part of the thing is just there's some interesting concepts that I kind of want to maybe see how well I can bring them through. So we'll see what I can create. I think it'll be very interesting to just see what I manage to come up with. I don't really know exactly what the full intention is gonna end up being, but we'll see. All right. Good. So there's, yeah. So I have this. Haven't yet respawned in the other weapon. Perfect. We're gonna go remove this. Now I do actually want to end up going back, probably back down to the planet. But yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, you know what? No, I think we'll work in space. So I think what I'll do is I'll come over here. We'll just build on top of this, and then we'll work on the other thing. So yeah, we're just gonna build a new fighter from a platform over here. Perfect. And yeah, the goal for this fighter is to be able to make a small form factor fighter with the capacity to have some folding wings. That's kind of going to be a lot of the goals for this fighter. One, two. Okay, it needs to be just slightly bigger. This platform just to be even in the direction of building. So that and this gets to go. And then yeah, the goal will be to try to create a fighter with the intention of pretty much allowing for everything to work fairly well. We'll just kind of slightly nudge you. There we go. All right. Then yeah. I do think I'm going to try to take a bit of inspiration from a few other vehicles, but I think the primary thing is going to be just designing. I do think I do want to work through some of my build markers. Maybe with this one. remove the text panel. I think I'm gonna add in rounded edges, the round edge blocks, because those can be fairly interesting to try to work with. But yeah, so I'm just gonna start placing and we'll see what we can do. But yeah, a good chunk of the idea of the story that I have is I don't have a lot of it design elements down, but I like a lot of the concepts that I've come up with so far. There's a good chunk of the concept. Yeah, a good chunk of the concept is that in this world that I've come up with, there are certain high level. Yeah, I don't know. I find it odd to try to talk whilst building about anything other than the building, apparently. But yeah, yeah. The goal for this vehicle as well is that it's going to be a single seat. Yeah, single seat. I'm thinking I'm gonna go maybe interceptors. So yeah, I think it'd be something sort of like a replacement for the old design of, where is it? Um, let's see. Is it? Here it is. The Light Fighter FA 34. Yeah. So I think it's gonna be sort of a replacement for this thing. Yeah, I like that idea. So yeah, we're gonna try to make a replacement for this, capable of long ranges, but would also have a decent amount of guns on it. Speaking of the guns, I need to decide on which type of gun I actually want to add, so I'm gonna look at the extra cannons real quick. Okay. Alright. Let's see. Okay, regular Gatling. The heavy autocannon. Alright. Hypervelocity. Don't think that'll work. Yeah, those are the same. Light auto. Okay, Bofors. Hmm. Uh. Okay. And then we have the 2 version, which has right. Okay. Okay. Maybe using support cannons. Yeah. Probably not a bombard cannon. Okay. Yeah, so I think what I'll probably do is I'll probably make a few adjustments to things, but yeah. Yeah, I think what I'm gonna do for this vehicle is I kind of want to run a... I think I want to try to run a interesting setup. I think I'm gonna use... I'm gonna use a lot of rotors and pistons for this vehicle. And I think what I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna have it sort of run more or less with its wings on hinges and rotors. So they sort of really pack up together fairly tightly, but then can extend rather far out in sort of a imposing look. Since I think I'm gonna make this kind of semi-based off of the Scorpion, and also sort of like a kidding. And there they go. Yeah. I think what I'm gonna want to do, I want very similar, but maybe I think this is meant to be fit in a 2x3. I think what I might 2x3 by I think 5. I actually think that's a fairly decent light fighter size, but I think I might allow for a slight bit wider. So rather than the 3, rather than a 3 size, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so this is very, very small. I think I'm gonna go 3 blocks total, so a total of 15 wide. So I think I'm going to I think I'm going to design it actually on top of this works. Let's see. I think what I'm gonna do is we're gonna end up with a sort of a central spinal dual hydrogen tank, and then using actually I just had an idea. I'm then going to use this because this is meant to also be sort of a very speedy vehicle. So I'm going to use a lot of these sort of sci-fi large. Actually, these are going to be better situated. Actually, I got an idea. I'm gonna do this. We're gonna go 1, 2. Throw you. Boom. And then we're gonna run 2 wide, and this is going to be the max width of the main body. It'll be slightly wider than 3 blocks, but when it's all folded, maybe fits in a 5 block wide hangar bay. Yeah, I think that'll be good. The idea is that this is still going to be more or less a light fighter. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to then situate these and then add in the, I kind of like this look. That way I can kind of more or less build out the like the main back engine, sort of like that. Yeah, and then so you'd sort of have sort of a more or less just something sort of like that, maybe with a slight bit. And I think I might also make use of curved blocks. Where do I have my curved blocks placed? Here they are. Then I might make use of the rounded edges. At least some of the rounded edges blocks. Where is it? Yeah, I think I want to try something sort of like this. I think that's the wrong design. I think I'm gonna want no, not you. There's the block for... There it is. It's not quite it, but it's close. Yeah. Because that's a corner, standard slope, rounded corner, edge, 2x1 slope, 1 and 2. So there's not really another option there besides the other one. Yeah, so I think what I'm going to do is then run a... sort of something maybe like that as like the back edge of this. Yeah. I think this looks pretty good. So you kind of end up with this sort of rounded end tail sort of bit. Then I think I might also run a... I actually don't know if I like this look. The idea would be to sort of create a extending tail, maybe. I'm not sure if I like that. I don't think I'll stick with that. But yeah, the main goal of this vehicle is going to end up being, it is supposed to be a replacement to the light fighter, just bigger because, well, my first iteration of these vehicles was designed pretty much with no real consideration for how anything else gets built. This is supposed to be designed with sort of that consideration for the future in mind. At least when it comes to these builds, so... Actually, I kind of like the idea of doing this. On these engines. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know how I want this to look. I know how I want the systems to be laid out, because the idea sort of is going to end up being that you have like those two engines, your main cockpit, and then not too terribly far ahead, I'd say, if I just bridge this forward, maybe extend one further up. Yeah, something sort of like this, with this being a class Yeah. So probably that being like glass there, maybe well, actually, if I wanted to do this, where are my control seats? That's actually fairly tall. Hmm. I don't know. I'm kind of more or less just spitballing ideas here, or just placing blocks, seeing what fits. But yeah, I'm not very good yet at the whole build while talking element of doing these streams. I'm sorry. Hmm. I don't know. Huh. I'm not certain about this. I'll be honest. Yeah, I'm not certain. Not quite certain here because, right, there's gonna end up being a, one person fighter craft, probably integrated. It'll be a pilot seat rather than, one of the standard cockpit elements. But I don't know. This just doesn't feel right. I kind of feel like I might want to, well, I also don't want this to be too big. And if I go, I almost feel like I should maybe, I oddly enough feel like maybe I should do something like, you and then, I don't necessarily want to do a full 3 of these together, because I feel like that doesn't look very good, but at the same time, I don't know. I feel like this just doesn't work right as is. There we go. Let's see. Um, yeah. Something about that other design I just didn't like. Plush cockpit could be interesting to use. I don't know. I don't know. The hard part here is that part of the idea is to have sort of like the Aurora Mark II, where you have these wings that kind of fold out from the sides, but that doesn't look right. And I also don't necessarily like how if I come back over to this, right, and I was to, I believe it was that. Is that the wings? Yeah, that's these. I don't like how stubby these wings look. I kind of like the color scheme of this vehicle, but I don't like how stubby these wings are. I kind of want something maybe bigger. Ooh, actually, I just had an idea. Yeah, I just had an idea. All right. I have an idea on the wings. So I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to give it a primary tank. You're going to have your primary hydrogen tank, I believe I'm going to go with. And I think what I'm going to do is use the... Oh, I don't need these lights on. I'm going to run a conveyor converter to a small conveyor to the sci-fi hydrogens, the large ones. That kind of does that. I think that'll work well, and I think it'll allow me to sort of add a build to the top up here. Right, and then I think what I'm going to do is, because I do want to keep this fairly thin, and I do want the wings to be a bit beefy. So I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to have the wings sort of fold sideways like this, right? Where they fold sideways along the edge of the craft. But then I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to have them, when they lift up, also rotate out. Sort of creating these long, thin wings that kind of spray out. Because the other bit is I can do very similar if I make this sort of a T-shaped vessel, where we sort of have these wide, maybe thin engines up top. Ooh. Maybe. Like these kind of smaller engine pods towards the top, which bring the edge of the vehicle out. So like, here, let me build up some stuff. So this would be the width of the bottom of the craft. And then we'd have sort of a, ooh, do I actually want that to maybe go underneath the vehicle? Maybe. Do it holding underneath at an angle. That might work. Ooh, actually I do like this idea. Okay. So I think what I'm gonna do is that I think I'm going to we're gonna continue this backward, and then we're going to continue it down a little bit. So we're going to sort of have a bit of a belly on this thing. Right, this is going to be designed as an interceptor primarily, so it's gonna be a bit quick. And then I think what I'm gonna do is if I just quickly remove you, we're gonna sort of create a majority of the downward thrust is going to be put in this sort of bank. We're gonna kind of continue this. All right. And then what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna quickly turn a 1, 2, 3, and then of course 1, 2, 3. I actually don't necessarily want to use those smaller hydrogens. I think I'm going to use these ones for their look. I want to use industrials for the underside. And then I think what I'm going to do is I think we're going to add in, of course, the blocks going like this. And then do this. Maybe go back a bit. There we go. Widen you out a bit. And then, of course, add in sort of a bit of a tail there. That'll probably be sloped off, maybe extending the engines a little bit further outward. But then sort of doing something... Well... I'm not certain anymore about the idea that I had. Because the idea that I had was to do sort of a... like a quad wing design, but I don't know. I don't know about the idea, like that quad wing style. I might just go with maybe a dual wing design. Because the kind of idea is that the wings would sort of fold up, right? So they kind of start from like towards the front, kind of sweep back a bit, maintaining a slight angle. So I guess if I just add back in the rest of this, maybe here, and then kind of continue this along a fairly reasonable length there. Something maybe sort of like that, with the main cockpit piece being right here. Yeah. Potentially being somewhat like that. And then over the cockpit itself, so if I was to just build up a line like this, and then you'd sort of have like the beginning of the glass kind of up here, maybe like, yeah, maybe if I was to build, I do need to remember that this that is the box. So if I want the thing to start at an angle, I'd probably be doing, yeah. Let's see. Do I have glass anywhere? Here's the glass. I want that slope. Okay. And then what I'd do is I'd raise... I don't want the glass there, so I'd have to add in the blocks to do this. I probably want to add in that piece of glass there. Yeah, so probably like this. So you run the glass. I don't know about that. In comparison to the cockpit, I suppose that's about the same, but I don't know. know. In theory, I could do... Right, so I could, in theory, do something like that, maybe. I'm not certain on that one either. These bay window pieces really are annoying if you want to work with them. And kind of work okay in some instances, but they're the wrong size for pretty much everything. Are these the only small blocks we got for windows, or do we have other small block windows? Because it's just the wrong size. I don't know. Those do appear to be the only ones, besides maybe the barred windows. I mean, I could, in theory, do that. But I don't think that looks very good. Well... I don't know. I don't know anymore. None of this looks right. Like, I don't know. I just don't know. And that's the big problem here, is I don't think this is the right size for this. Let's see. How good does it occur if I do this? Like, let's say I run... How does that look? That's not bad. It's definitely semi-narrow, but it's not the worst. I can't really make it go any further forward, unfortunately. Actually, I have an idea. I wonder what would happen if I swapped you for a 1x1 slope and re-added this as the bigger slope. Yeah, because I like that. The other idea would maybe be doing the other side. Then when it came to this, I'd have to run then a almost immediate And the other bit would be if I did that, I'd have to be running a odd glass design because I'd want to run something like this. Or maybe not one of you. I could in theory do this. Let's see, but if I did that, the option would be very limited. But I don't actually mind this look. Ah, but that becomes a problem. I would need to add a little bit wider standardly before I do that. Then I would be able to run now this is getting a little large. It looks good, but now it's a little large for a canopy for something as small as this. Oh, hey Ruby Rose. How you doing? I'm doing pretty decent. I got an idea for a fighter that I wanted to work out, but I just don't think I can make it work how I wanted it to work, unfortunately. I wanted to do a custom canopy, but I just don't think I'm going to be able to make that work. So, yeah, I've done a little War Thunder myself and realized I am no good at combat in basically any game that requires precision, and basically if I can't hold down the fire button around an enemy and get a hit, then I really don't have any luck in anything. I did ground-based and would immediately get beaten just constantly. No great. Let's... Could maybe do... Just use the AI vehicle. Yeah. I could do that. How do I like that? I don't know. I feel like this needs to be a much bigger vehicle in order for me to use these. Yeah, I just think it needs to be a much bigger vehicle for these to be able to be used. Because there's just not a good way to make, I think, really that good of a small cockpit. Because, I mean, this is about the smallest I can get this, and the closest to the canopy. Little larger heavy fighter. There's supposed to be a bit of a lighter fighter. But, yeah, I just can't. I wanted to try to make a custom canopy, but I just don't think a custom canopy is going to work. Just due to how far forward. I can't have anything in that area that, jail, dang it. don't know. You got me. Maybe. I think. Could, in theory, add in a. Where's the seat? There's the seat. Add the seat here. And I want it to be like that. I could, in theory, run these. I probably want to bring this to this height. Maybe, that looks a little too forward. Like, go with this, and I do something maybe. This is how high? This is 1, 2, 3 high. So in theory, given the layer of blocks there, the layer of blocks here would be. And of course, I have to let the back end be just a tad bit bigger. That's probably about the longest farther forward. And now my other bit is trying to decide, because if I do it this way, I would even have to do this, because that interferes with the freaking glass canopy piece. And then this is 2 blocks, which I don't like. I don't know. I have to now bring this back even further just to get this to sit right. I don't know. No, do not respawn me. Right now, my biggest difficulty with this ship is trying to decide how I want a lot of this to look. I'm not positive on this. It does kind of get in the way of the view, but I don't know if there's a way to necessarily add what would look like supports without getting too in the way. I don't know. Just don't know. What happens if I do it from down here? So if I do this, could work. Yeah. Oddly enough, I think I actually want to bring this top higher. But I think if I want to add this like this, which I do like the idea of doing, I think I'd actually want this top piece to be a little taller. That way, when I do this, I think this will look a bit better. Yeah, the hard part's just, I want this to be like a light fighter that can kind of fold into easy and better storage. Sort of like the other fighter design over there with those wings that fold down for better kind of storage on board of most ships. But and then where does that leave angle? That leaves these angles having to be right here. But I think this works a decent bit better. Because then I can add one more set of these. And run that, and then I think I can run standard beam blocks, not the junctions. Kind of like this. Yeah, I think that looks pretty decent. If I hop in here, yeah, I think I like that a bit better. Because then what I can do is if I... Where is it? If I grab these, I can kind of run almost a... Yeah, I think this looks so much nicer. Yeah, because then I can make this a bit flat. That allows for that kind of... Yeah, let's see how this looks. No, bitch. There it is. I want the inverted one. All right. Double layer the window there. Yeah, and then if I just simply add in the... Wonder if that looks better or worse. Doing a sort of inset window like this. Well, I'd want to do the inverted and then the non-inverted. It gives it certainly a decent, unique view, but I don't know if I like it. Oddly enough, I don't know if I like it. Well, let's see what it looks like if I do it the other way. Because the other idea could be to move this back the one block. Because in theory, that'll put it on the same level as on the inside. We'll see that first. So removing this more complex window. I just don't know. This is very much a test bed vehicle. Oh wait, that is flat. That is not the angled piece that I want it to be. Okay, and then I'd probably be removing a good chunk of this, so we'll just run the next piece just to add in that. Up, that's the left. Right side. Can we run in you? Let's see. Perfect. And there we are. I actually think that looks a lot better. And especially if I add in a fairly basic slope here. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. I actually think that looks pretty decent. I can fairly easily add an access panel to this. And I'm not positive if these are airtight, but if they're not, well, I'd actually kind of want them to be airtight. Is there a way to make that airtight? Too bad obstructing view. Maybe? Yeah, I don't think I can make this airtight if I use these blocks. Do I have build info at least? I don't. Alright, well, I think I'm gonna try to see whether this is airtight anyway, just to be safe. Yeah, I'm gonna go give this a quick test on the whether or not this is airtight, because fasten inside, maybe. Also, how you doing? Estimate break. Yeah, I don't know. I'll see whether this is, since it shouldn't be too difficult to test, just simply building a box around me, basically. So take you, find my vent in my list of objects, vents. I just need to throw a quick O2 container. Alright, I also will need to add some power to this thing. So we'll just add in some batteries. Just for the beams. Oh, shoot, wrong button. I did that quite a few times, unfortunately. Yeah, I'll try that, but I'll just see whether this works anyway. Yeah, it does not work. Dang it. I was hoping it would work, just without having to do any of that, because trying to cover the beams is going to be a pain in the rear end. Oh, what did I do? Need to make my way out of here. Yeah. The bit with covering the beams is that to cover the beams is going to be a bit more of a challenge. Because to just cover the beams, what that's going to require is to somehow in this level of space, right, these cover a full block. So if I want to cover the beams from the outside, I've got to add a full block over there. And to cover the beams on the inside, I would have to run inside and basically do something like taking this entire front cockpit piece and cover this in glass. Because I can't cover the beams forward, going forward. I could, in theory, replace those beams with full blocks, but part of the reason of doing those as glass pieces is to sort of get a structural look to it. So removing that kind of structural design just doesn't feel right. Yeah. Double layer glass for better protection. I mean, again, even double layering the glass doesn't do much. And I'll probably end up having to just return to a standard cockpit anyway, because I think this ship's... Right, because the idea behind this ship is for it to be a replacement, sort of in a fleet, to this. Where is the bigger thing that I've been working on? Well, actually, it's not in this world. Where is it? I don't have the thing I was working on, I don't think. Nope. This is an older design, but like the idea is, I don't know. Where was I again? Over this thing? No, it's not this thing. More rearward mounted cockpit. I could do that. The thing with the cockpit is that part of the idea is to try to create... I want a ship that's larger than that, but still has... Yeah, the idea would more or less be to try to... Like, that thing is sort of my current light interceptor, and while I like the way that it looks, I wanted to try to do something else with it. And I don't know if there's a way that I can make this work while creating a light fighter. I think light fighters are gonna have to just use the standard cockpit piece, or if they do anything besides the standard cockpit, it'd have to be built a much larger scale, or sort of without internal viewing. Because yeah, the bit is the kind of idea is that this is going to have a good amount of view. There's one of the things that inspired this, if I just quickly do this, this, do this. Do I have it already actually pulled up anywhere? You should be able to find it here, maybe. Let's find it. Hey, we want to go here. Yeah, one of the things that inspired this ship is, where is it? Here, I'll just do this. That, reduce this back again. That one more time, run back this screen. Where is it? Actually, I can do it from here. One of the things that inspired this ship is the Aurora Mark II, which is, yeah, it's one of those that kind of inspired the idea behind, or one of the sort of inspirations. And you can kind of see, not a great look for, do they have a good ship of it landed from the outside? Not really, but yeah, you can kind of see how these wings are. But then I had the idea of, yeah, the idea that I had for this would be for the wings to sort of be mounted top front and then sort of fold to the side, kind of like these wings do. So if I just come back in here, do this. So sort of like these wings do, where they kind of are folded and tucked. But then have it so that when this ship takes off and would be going, they'd sort of fold out like they were previously, and then fold forward. So kind of out and forward. But the main difficulty is trying to get a canopy style that would work well with that idea. In theory, I could run a canopy like this vertically, so it's only the one layer of glass, but I would be limiting my field of view. I could, in theory, do the 2 layers, but in either capacity, my view would be rather limited, because I think I would need to be back here for... let me just do, not you, that. I wanted to add, okay, it could go here. Maybe. I did just have an idea. Yeah, what I might do is if I do this like this, I could, in theory, give the 2 block. Yeah, I could do that. The other thing I might do is I might just kind of, actually, let me see. Event block, trigger. Where's my event block? I can't remember which thing has the event blocks in it. Are those one of my latter ones? Not the AI flight. Which one has event blocks? Are those under timer blocks? Not an AI. Yeah, I think it's under timer. Let's see. I actually have an event block on these missiles, which was another thing I had been working on previously, so I want to look at something with event controllers. Yeah. Angle changed. Interesting. Door open, gas tank filled. Grid speed changed. Okay, so it's only just speed. There's not necessarily a... Yeah. Did that break? Shit, that broke it. Alright, well, looks like I gotta do this. That way I didn't break it. I could do that. I do have ideas on an idea for that, actually. Yeah, I do have some ideas on something that I might want to do there in that idea, but I don't know. Oddly enough, I think the part that's causing me the greatest amount of difficulty is just how far back do I want these wings? Like, how big do I want this fighter to be? Because at the moment, this thing's a lot smaller than I think I realized, or a lot bigger than I initially wanted. But at the same time, it's hard to tell. I don't know, because I might end up loading into a different world real quick, just so I can kind of, I don't know, judge scale a bit better. Because part of the idea behind these fighters is that they would be part of a group of ships with a certain scale that I have built right now. But I'm uncertain about that scale in comparison to the rest of everything. Well, actually, the scale that I've got inside that would work. Yeah, I think the big part is just a matter of scale. That's the part that's really throwing me off today. Because, again, I built that so that I can fit a lot in a much smaller, overall larger vehicle. But the idea for this was that it would fit reasonably well into a ship of even larger scale than this, because this is a old version of an idea, and these are its current storage. How wide is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, like, the idea, in theory, I probably wouldn't go with this height, but, like, the idea would be to try to get it so then, like, in the same space that one of these can fit, maybe I can fit 2 of the other ones. Maybe also accepting that kind of level of height, or trying to go with a little smaller, but probably sticking with the 3 to 4 block height. But I don't know, it's hard to really say, because the last time I attempted to, I am flying to the right one of these, right? Yes. Yeah, because the other fighter that I've kind of designed with a similar I know about this. I watched a stream of you showing it. Uh, and okay. Yeah. 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 One of the other thing that I'm thinking of in terms of scale is, where is it? Trying to think. The V2 of Enemy Fighter. So this was the other ship that I've made of a similar sort of scale and style, which if I just get in here, nope. I believe it's the first block. Yes. Yeah. Which if I just fix the sun. This was another design that I've done. Yeah, so I think I'm probably gonna have to have the body of a similar size to this. What size is the body when I close this up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What? 9 to the center and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 5, 37. So that's a fairly decently sized thing. Yeah, that was one of those ideas that I was going to try to do, would be that, like, if I knew how to do it, if you, let's say, tried to turn left, right, then the wings on the left side or the right side might fold in. So if you're turning to this side, the wings on this side would go inward and the opposite would occur. And then, yeah, you speed up and all of them kind of come in, but I don't really know how to do that, so I just left it. This is kind of one of the number of projects that I started, decided I kind of just didn't know how I wanted to continue it, and stopped. Yeah. Because if I was to add the wings sort of like I'd want them to be added, it'd probably be... Where is it? Where are my hinges? Where are my hinges? I do have hinges, right? I don't think I have hinges anymore. I think I removed those off the list somewhere. I don't know when I did that, but apparently I did that sometime. So, I'll just place the pistons because they're not exactly useful at the moment. Yeah, so the idea would probably be something like... let's see. Did that put those in the right manner? No, it did not. Okay. Let's try to get you in the right orientation. Okay. And then the idea would be... that these would then probably have a block. And then sort of a, oh, come on, where is it? There it is. Then probably a rotor. So you'd end up sort of like this. And like the shape of the wings would probably be something to the effect of probably something to the effect of this. And then running a well, actually, I don't know how these flap. Yeah. I mean, I'm not really... Because the bit would be is that... Yeah, I just... I think this ship is just too big, too pudgy, too large. Too big for what I want it to be. I want it to be like this thing, which, to be fair, is probably not any smaller. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 blocks tall, so... Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, the idea would sort of be you could build basic cockpit, but then have the design you would like on the outside. Yeah. If I was to velocity. Oh, right. This thing has absolutely no power. I forget. Alright. I'm gonna go get rid of all this. I think I'm gonna just get rid of all of this, and then I think I'm going to delete back to the basics. So I don't much like the design of any of this. I think it's too pudgy, it's too wide. The cockpit area would work for a much larger of the vessels with the same sort of design, but not for something of this type. I think at best we want a much smaller ship than what I've got right now. Yeah. And we're just gonna strip everything back for now. On a rotor set up to point forward, but set up a dual sensor detector triggered with a flap centered half armor plate and override gyro. Yeah, don't quite know how to do that, but yeah, I might try to do that at a later point. I think for now I'm going to focus on the ship that I am building, but it does, I think I understand what you're talking about, and I think I know how to do that, or at least can figure one out. I don't even like this design. That's currently floating, which I need to readdress, but all right. So I like these thrusters, but I think they need to be further back. So I think what I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna do this. You take these. Alright. There we go. I think that works. Because I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to work on a much thinner base with a much longer design. So running sort of a much longer, not as wide design, maybe a bit thinner, so something where it kind of runs to about maybe this point, maybe run over. There's what I'm looking for. This way, if you turn, it triggers them to fold. I just wanted to say that. My brain was stuck on what you were saying earlier. Yeah. How much further? 1, 2. I think I'd want maybe 2 more. 1, 2. Then maybe running 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 more. 5. Then I think this. There we go. I think that'll be kind of the max kind of design. Because I think I want this to fit in a thinner hull, but I think I'm going to have it be a lot longer than the other one. This also sort of allows for the idea that I had for the wings to be a bit better, since I can more or less run with a set of blocks this way. And that allows for, we'll run, I'll just run, I just had an idea. I can actually make some interesting use of some of these half-round blades, potentially. I don't know. I'll figure out what I want to do with these later, but I think I can do some interesting stuff with them, but yeah, I think this works. I think I'm then going to go down a bit. I think I'm just going to use the standard, where is it? Standard fighter cockpit. Because I think if that would need to run like that. What blocks do I have to make that? Because I like the idea of using, not quite that, but where is it? No. Yeah, like this. And kind of use this to allow the other thing, and as long as I run a, I'm just gonna so far add in one of these frame rings. Apparently I can't add the frame ring, so we'll throw in just a standard converter. That way I can add that. Boom. There we go. Because then this will allow for everything to be placed and kind of run this. Alright. And then this kind of also allows me to go maybe to here. Alright. My only issue with cockpit up front is it's too vulnerable to damage. Yeah, but I mean, the idea is not necessarily to be a good in-game fighter necessarily, as much as it is to make something look good and be functional. In theory, I could move the cockpit backward and then do those sorts of folding wings in the opposite direction, so they kind of hug the front of the ship and then splay out. Could be interesting. Maybe. Yeah, sort of go from like the back of the ship and then sort of fold out to behind. So kind of, I don't know. It could be pretty interesting. Sort of like a U-wing style, with the wings also folding in a little bit to give it a less wide area and then spreading out and then back. Could be pretty interesting. There could be an interesting design. I think I'll stick with the elongated version for now. But the idea of doing like a U-wing style is pretty interesting. And let's see. Where did I put my hinges? I just kind of want to see if, given this rough shape, if I can make something look reasonable. That's kind of the goal right now, is just to see how good I can make this look. Because at the moment, I am hesitant to say this is going to work. Actually, now that I think about it, I'd want... probably want you. And we'll do this. I want this. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know how well this is going to work, but honestly, 90% of this is just, we'll see what happens. Yeah. I kind of have a rough idea, because part of the idea is that I'm very inspired by a lot of Star Citizen ships and Star Wars ships, really. Like the main inspirations of this thing. Where is the... Because the other bit is if I make the, actually, I'd want to use the advanced rotors. Standard advanced. With what numbers are facing forward right now? 180 facing forward. Really wish that I would not do that. Okay, there we go. That way these can be set up correctly. Well, actually, yeah, I'd have to set them up opposite, but that'll be fine. Alright. I'll just go 0. Control panel. Hinges. If I just add block. Wait. Oh, right. I have no power on this stupid thing. I need to remember to add power. Time for power. Which direction does these things turn? Let's see. Which direction? Oh. We gotta... now I can see. Wrong button. Yeah. I don't know. I got an idea, but why? These are not connected at all, are they? No, they are not. Nope, they are not merging right there. So let me quickly throw on merge blocks to fix this. There we go. Okay, so that is up. Good. I'm glad I know that. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay. And which direction is this? This is in the negative direction, so negative is up. So we will set upper limit to 0, reverse. And we'll set U to 0. We're gonna make the lower limit back to 0. Then I'm gonna change the upper limit, we're gonna say to, we'll say 66. We're going to give it some positive velocity. Yeah, I think 66 is good. And we're going to give the lower limit to, we'll say 22. Yeah, I think that works well. Go. And then what we're going to do is, I think I'm going to run a half block top layer. So it'll be a half block there with that, like that, and then running a full block here. That like that, because then when this gets made into that, that works well, and then when it lowers, even though this is a little vulnerable, I can probably add a plate on top without too big of an issue, at least a half plate. So I can make it work. And then running running probably 2 of you. I think I'm gonna run you. Let's see. And then I'd probably be running this sort of wing. Back up that way. Probably this long. I don't know how this looks, but we're gonna continue so far. I'm just gonna finish building up this brick of a wing. And yeah. Alright. I'm just gonna finish building up the brick. I'll detail it later. For now, brick is fine. Brick will work. I know doing this just invites Clang, but I don't really care too much about Clang because, well, I've done enough stuff to anger Clang. All of my work has angered Clang. It hasn't stopped me before. A lot of my work has angered Clang. I just noticed you could make a walker out of that, kind of like a centipede. Yeah, probably. Alright, and then if I want to... add in a velocity... let's see. How does 60? Whoa. Dang it, I keep doing this wrong. No. Nope, stop. Okay. Then I need to click share initial tensor. Oh, we're currently at 60. How do you look? No. No, I don't much like that. I don't think I can make that work very well. It's not half bad. Wow. Knocked my mouse pad. Yeah. I mean, right now the biggest problem is a matter just of... I don't like that as much. I know I need to add some shape, and I'll try to do that now by just kind of... Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. We're gonna do that. That kind of helps a little bit. Maybe if I extend it to the third level of 7, so adding in U3, 1, 2, 7. If I extend the wing design to this, and then maybe, I think the other thing I'm gonna do is I think I'm going to fix the wing a little bit further in its angle. The fun bit is I just have no idea the full design yet, so... If I knew how I wanted the rest of the ship to look, I can kind of build for that design, but I am completely winging this, so... Yeah, and then I think I'm just gonna reduce the wing angle to maybe, we'll say... No, we want a little further back. 53, why not? What? No. Fuck. I want you back to 53. There we go. There we go. Yeah, I think that looks a lot nicer of an angle. Perfect, so... Yeah. So if I set the, I'll need to set frickin' angle markers, but I think it'll be fine. Which advanced rotor? Current angle is 54, so what we'll do is... Where is 54? If I do this with the upper limit being, I don't know, 180? Is this right? If I give it a positive velocity, no, that is not right. So I want the upper limit to be 54, and then the lower limit being 0. Apparently that's not good enough. Apparently sharing universal tensors isn't enough to keep that from colliding with the hitbox of whatever it's colliding with. Well, the other one I gotta do now is... Alright, so if your lower limit 0, upper limit 40, I believe I need to reverse it here so that your lower limit would be 54 and your upper limit's 0. No. What about you being 0? How does that work on you? So... velocity... No, that didn't work, because 54 is the wrong... direction. 54 would be the upper, 90 would be the other. No, wait, no, that's not right either. Shit. I think I just need to reverse this. I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea what I'm doing, which makes this really fun. And also a pain in my rear end. That's the... Okay, so if I do it with this as 0, does the markings now work at 54 and that? We'll just do that so that I know. Let's see. Advanced rotor 2. If I do this with the lower limit being 0, with the upper limit of 54, slight bit of positive velocity. Is that moving in the right direction? No. I need negative 54. We'll say negative 54, frick, and what, 90? So what would that be? Negative 90? No, you would be negative 54. Okay. If I was to reverse you, Now that works. Yay! Okay. So I could, in theory, do that. That works now. That means that if I just do this, grabbing the rotors and the hinges and deciding share inertial tensors and reverse. That adds a lot more depth. I kind of like that look. I think maybe reducing this to maybe the 1. So reducing this intersection by 1. So if I just simply did this. And then decided to do U, control X, control V. No. Shit. Control X, V. Don't want to work that way. Dang it. I can make it work without having to redo all of this. What I gotta do is I add in U. Do that, I can then X, yes, V. Please work. No, why not? Dang it, why not? Why do you want to yell at me for this? Oh shit. Will it not yell at me if I do this? And then do Control C. Alright, what happens if I unfold the wings? Does this have some sort of hinge lock on right now? Rotor lock? Nope. Where's reverse? There we go. Now if I just... What I'll do is I'll remove one more layer. C, yes. Up, B. There we go. Perfect. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a good way to necessarily... If I paste that... I don't think if I paste something in on a... Like, if I do this... Removed the wing, and then pasted the wing on that, I don't think it'll allow me to do something with it, will it? And if I control that, it copies the entire thing. Okay. But if I run this, I don't actually need to get in the vehicle. If I just, let's say, hatch, Control C, attach. There we go. And then if I don't know, Control V, if I stick you on here, does that, if I go to building, do N, okay, and if I do this, let's copy this to the other side. No. Dang it, I was hoping that would work. No, I just have to rebuild the entire thing again. Dang it. Oh well. I hoped. There we go. Well, either way. That would basically be the wing shape. So we'd be running you. Remove you. Good. Both the front and the back end are the full slopes. Okay, the other slope. Good. Add in you. Yeah, I'm gonna build both wings and see if I like it. I do need to make sure both wings are actually, you know, to the same design. Which, how long is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20. 20 long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. These are about 20 long as well. Perfect. Okay. You build you up. We're just gonna freaking do that. I'm gonna make sure that the other wing is likewise been done. Boom, and then we just simply add in the U. That is besides 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then if I run to the front and add 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. The inner one should be 6, right? 6, yes. So now both wings are constructed. So if I do this, I go to all of you and I just reverse. Why is none of that working? None of you are hinge locked. Why are none of you working? Oh, for fuck's sake, why are none of you working? Reverse. Let me guess. The hinges need not to be shear inertial tensored, and these are going to work with... What? Why is adding more torque forcing you down? 22 and 65, 22 and 65. I'm gonna reduce this velocity. None of you are hinge locked. Why is only one of you dropping? I don't understand this. Why? Okay, now it somehow worked. Either way. Okay, why? This is not working. For fuck's sake, I said. Rotors, let's add some extra torque. Max torque, shear inertial tensor. Why when I shear inertial tensor do you just drop the floor? What are you doing? I don't get it. Okay, now that's working somewhat better. Oh, I think I know what I did. These are operating in the wrong directions. So one is operating positive, the other is operating negative. So you will be... Okay, so... one of these is negative, the other is positive. So you are going to be 5. And you will be... -5. The shear inertial tensor doesn't break anything. And both of your torque will be 336. 336. Good. And then these should be fine, because they should both be... I'll set their velocity at 5 as well, and then if I... click on everything, and then reverse... There we go. Now it's working. I'm not positive about this. Interesting idea, yes. I'm gonna want to add in some timer blocks. We'll just throw these like over here somewhere. We'll add 3 of them because I apparently am going to need to do this. So what we're gonna need to do is not you. For fuck's sake, get to the. There we go. Apparently, I'm gonna have to do it like this, where we have the hinges, then the rotors, and then the rotors, then the hinges. How do I toggle between which order I need these to be done in? Because if I do it in... I don't know how to make that happen if I wanted to do it like that. Because the problem is that right. Rotor's going slower, so I'll make these 1. Right. For fuck's sake. Wrong button again. Okay. Velocity. We're gonna make you go 1. Then the one currently leaning -1. There we go. And I'm just gonna quickly reverse. And then if I reverse it again, I see. I'm gonna just remove these 2 by remove that. That should hopefully help. I remove these 2 full blocks. There we go. That should hopefully allow these to be a little closer. There we go. So now they're like that. Keep doing that when I don't need to. And now if I do this, there we go. And then if I did that again, does this, oh, for frick's sake. Keep pressing the wrong button. So now if I reverse this again, well, now that does an entirely different problem. The problem is they need to be a different speed. I guess, well, what I could do is I could trigger rotors first. No, either way, that doesn't really work. I need the hinges and then the rotors. I know what I can do. I know exactly what I can do to make this work. I don't think I need these. I will still throw myself 3 of these just in case, but then if I run event controllers, 2 of them, what I can do is I go to event controller. There is a, where is it? Rotor hinge position. Is there not one for rotor hinge position? That's attached, detached. There's piston position. Would that be angle changed? Yeah, it would be angle changed. What do I do? Angle changed. Hinges. If I do... we'll say what? Maybe 37 at equal or greater than. Yeah, at or greater than. And then I ran the... I need to group the rotors. Fuck it. I misspelled it, but that should work just fine. Set of actions, groups, rotor, reverse, when false, reverse. Shit. I guess I would need 2 of these. Wait, no, that doesn't work either. So I would have to have these set up to trigger... I guess I would have to have these trigger something else. Right? Because the idea would be if these hinges are at a specific angle, or so it would be what? Action output slot 1. If I set up I guess I would need if I did this, set of actions, timer block 4, trigger now, and then I can do yeah, because then what I can do is I can go to the timer block, set of actions, rotor reverse, and then if I do event controller 2 event, I think this can work. Angle changed, equal or less than. Fuck, I don't know if this actually would work. This doesn't work, does it? Because there's that dead space. Well, actually, no, because I can have this one. Right? Because if this is going to be the event controller controlling the end, if I have this on the hinges. So what I can do is I can have timer block, or I can basically have an open where you trigger hinge reverse, then a close where you trigger rotor reverse. Because if you trigger the rotor reverse, what that'll do is it'll start bringing them in, which once they get past a certain amount, then I can have that, because equal or less than, let's say, 7, then it can close and settle again, and then when it's opening, once it's up, then these can swing out. I just need to, right, because if I reverse U, right, so while these are up, this is outputting slot 2 because it's equal or greater than, so this output slot 2. Oh wait, no, they're at 21, so that's less than. We want you to also be less than. Oh wait, no, we do want greater than. Trigger slot 2, because this would output slot 1, right? Yeah, this one would output slot 1. Right? When true, when false. So it'll work either way. I just need to put U in the when false. Okay. So that should, in theory, work like that. And then this one should, in theory, work output slot 1. Which, if I go to setup settings, this is 5. Which I can then set 5 to... I just need frickin' hinge. For now, this is more or less just proof of concept at this point. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish this by the end of tonight, but... So if I reverse rotors, and rotors are stuck. Why are rotors stuck? Why are rotors stuck? What? Why are the rotors now stuck? No. Why are you now stuck? You're positive, you should be negative, so I'll just click reverse U. Why stuck now? I don't get it. Okay. Now that goes up. I feel like something's wrong here. Huh? I'm not entirely sure what's going on. Yeah, but the problem is I can't do two of the same, and I need two of the same. Wait, why are you all of a sudden down? You're supposed to be up. Your velocity's 5, your velocity should also be 5. So why are you low? Why are you low and you're high? You also are positive, which means you're supposed to be the negative. Yeah, that's all right. So why are you not upward? Why? Okay. Really isn't working how I wanted this to. I really don't know what to do because the problem is this shouldn't be fucking doing anything. You should be raised, and there's room for you to be raised. This one is, so why is this one not? Torque. Max torque. Torque. Max torque. If I was to, let's say, reverse any of these, right? Reverse you. Okay, now what happens if I reverse this one? Okay, now this one's stuck. Why is this one stuck? You should be fucking mobile. Not attached to anything. You shouldn't be at all close to any of the, any of the things, because the closest one it'd be to is this corner, which it shouldn't be at all interacting with. Why the fuck are you not moving now? Okay, now it works. Okay. So if I reverse the hinges, like reverse the rotors, they do nothing. I don't get it. Okay, fuck it, hell. Turn these stupid things off, because apparently that might be fucking shit up. Okay, that's working. Good. Now if I reverse it again. Okay, that's not working. You rotor displacement all the way. There we go. Now it's working. Okay, good. So now these are out. So if I turn the event controllers back on, if I reverse these rotors, does this work how it's supposed to, and they get up and then they close? No. But they are marked as lowering. They need to be marked as up. Okay, so it's positive. They just aren't moving. The fuck is this getting snagged on? They should work. Everything else fucking worked. No, it won't work. God damn it. I mean, the idea is cool. But it doesn't seem like this is gonna fucking work. Not without making a much bigger vehicle. Yeah, I don't think this is gonna work. Not without a much bigger fucking vehicle, which I don't really care to make. I was kind of hoping to kind of do this and then run a, using these to kind of run a, bit sort of like this. So rounded edge. Well, now it worked. I wonder if adding weight will work. If I run you, and then run let's see, does this go up inverted? Because in theory this should work. Again, all the way to here. No, not there. There. Where's the slope I wanted? There it is. Alright, this seems to work. I mean, if nothing else fails, I guess adding a weight always seems to do something. And that's gonna be a problem, because that's gonna get in the fucking way of that. Okay, so I severely misjudged how wide I need this to be. Okay. And there's not really a good way to fucking break these off. That's lovely. Alright, I mean, time to try, I guess. I'm just gonna move you. Not moving. Okay, so if I want to do this sort of idea, it's going to have to be significantly more later. And using a significantly wider and larger vessel than I thought I was going to need. Because, at the very least, this would have to be fully as wide as everything else. So, is it possible? Yes. Is it reasonable? No. No, this really doesn't work. Like, I don't know. I mean, if I'm going to do that, I basically need... This is the widest it gets, so I would need to go from there. Remove you and remove you. Control C. Like that. Control C. All right. I'll finish adding this this leading edge to the wing. But yeah. I don't really think I'm gonna redesign the wing kind of to slope in a bit more, kind of. Oh wait, this is the wrong of this type. Where is the rest of these? This actually works. That one is what I wanted. There we go. Then I need to go find the... Alright, this thing. Where is I want it? There it is. Edge A. And I'm just gonna kind of do this before finally tailing it off with the reverse slope just a little bit. Actually, yeah, we'll reverse slope tail it here, so you, and then do that. I'm going to redesign the wing, basically undoing all of this. Doing this. Significantly redesigning the wing a bit. I will probably need all of this just to make this freaking redesign work, but we'll try it. Okay, this corner I want right here, which means this was actually fine to be you, and then I need which, or you. So then that has to be you, which means that all of a sudden this has to be that, which means this all has to go now. And if I added that, then I would have to do this. Okay. Just a slight redesign. Just a slight one. That'll be fine, I guess. And then if I add in you, and then I have to, that works perfectly here. Where's the... There it is. Which, now this creates an interesting problem. I suppose it could do... none of these possess the... No, none of these possess the angle I would need to make this work. Because what I would need to make that work basically is just to do this, more or less. Which means that all of this has to go. All this just to try to make this wing look okay with the idea that I had, which I really should have thought out semi-reasonably, but thinking things out is not a strong suit of mine, apparently. Because now the only option I have for this is that, which means that the only option here is to run these. This then requires the use of this. I mean, this isn't actually that bad. I don't mind the look of this. I'm going to actually redesign this corner again. But yeah, this isn't actually half bad. Add in some blocks. Add back in this. Actually doesn't look bad. And if I actually, you know, design a bit of the front a bit better, what I can do is I can then run more or less. I would need, of course, you, adding in you, which would then require the use of this. The fun bit is that there's no real easy way to do this again, so I've got to build all this again a second time. But the nice bit is that when I finally add in my piece, if I just simply add in the slope inverted, you, where's in corner inverted, you. I really hope this actually works, but I am not convinced. Okay. The right slope I need, where is it? There it is. Edge inverted. Wrong inverted. There it is. I really hope this looks good when it's unfurled and furled up. All right, this is got to be the this one, because that is going to be then running the edge A. Hopefully this... Yeah, so now if I go 0, I am just going to run the reverse manually. This desperately requires shear inertial tensor, which hopefully doesn't blow something up. Good. It didn't blow anything up. And then these are absolutely massive wings. That really don't fit with this scale of a ship. Oh, I really don't like trying to design things. Is it cool? Yes. None of this looks right. I don't like any of this. None of this design is something I like. I don't know what to do with it, though. I don't know. I thought it'd be cool, but I think I overbuilt this. I built it too big. I didn't start small enough. I think if I wanted to do this, I should really do maybe 3 blocks thick, starting from the very top, maybe with a rotor, then the hinge work. I don't know. The idea would be to swap basically the hinge, like put this block on the hinge, so that block goes on the hinge instead, and then put the rotor here. Would that do what I'd want? I don't think it would add the effect that I would like. I think I might just want to maybe move I don't know. Just I don't know. Something about this design just isn't clicking, and I don't know what it is. The idea just isn't... There's no... Yeah, that looks right. I don't know what to do about it. Something just doesn't look right, and I can't quite figure out why. Like, this looks good. At least reasonably so. I just wanted to be able to make something like that fit with the other group, but this just doesn't look good. I wonder if I swap the direction of the wings. So if I was to take these wings and make the face backward, maybe. Maybe. I'm gonna go get rid of all the all the control stuff at the very least. that's unfortunate. Control X. Okay. I'm just gonna do this. Alright. Alright. I don't like any of this design for this, so I'm going to have to, pretty much scrap most of this forward wing. At least after the angle, so I get how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 in, and then just basically cut off the wing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, basically here, and then just more or less cut off the wing, because pretty much all of this has to be redesigned. I'm just gonna frickin' just remove that and remove that, and the rest shouldn't be rebuilt later. Right, because that's, yes. So that's where that corner is. I'm gonna do this again. I'm gonna try to make this work well, and I think I'm gonna replace the design facing the other way. Okay. So, see whether this works or whether I like it. Right, so this is entirely this now for how many? How many does that last? So that lasts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the next inner bit, so we'll redesign it. This is currently 3, so 2 more. And then, of course, the collapsing in right here, where... yeah, where that goes in once again. So if I just basically do this. Right. And then I get to try to figure out all of the large block pieces on the inside, which I need to re-add because something is busted for some reason or another. Good. So if I do you... Wait a second. This... No, what block is this? Oh, right, it's this angle. So that's actually a regular angle, then a regular... Oh god, trying to figure out where this freaking bend is. Okay, this is flat. So this is angled down. So on the opposite end of that angle... Wait, what? Okay, so... Oh, okay, I see. Okay. So we do this, and then we get rid of all of this. Good. Okay. And then this was one of these. And then this, which went like that. Okay. I am starting to get the redesign figured out. This then lasts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we more or less just derive the point from there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The large blocks. Good. And then I should be able to add in the rest of the design because it shouldn't be too difficult to figure the rest of this out. Okay, so then this comes to the this point. This comes to that point. You become you, you become you, and both of these end like this. Perfect. And then I just need to add in that other edge, and then more or less copy the top side on the bottom side. So copy this on the other side of the wing, and then I'm gonna have to reposition the entire position that this sits on the wing. That shouldn't be as difficult. This is going to be a much bigger vehicle than I thought it was going to end up being, but that's fine. I always overbuild. That's just standard practice for me at this point. And I just need to fill in the blocks here. Alright. So now it's time to freaking add in this. It was one block, so we add this first. And up top, place you here, so. Boom. We're just gonna quickly add what I can add without any issues. The, what is going to end up being the front of the wing. Where is the block? Not you. Where's the other one of you? There it is. Oh, wait, no. This is the double-sided, so you are, in fact, that one. Right? Yes. And then you, then the corollary block. I'm gonna be honest, this has become a lot larger than I intended it to be, and honestly, if it wasn't, I'd be scared. Because I can never manage to build anything without building larger than anticipated. Oh. Here, and then just do one more. So that's 3 angle. Oh no, this becomes a shallow point. Shoot, nope. Good, I need the shallow point. and then U, and then it's just a matter of finding a corner, building U, getting to this point, finding the corner inverted, slope inverted actually. Right, finding U. Where is the block I want? Finding the block I want. A perfect. Grabbing the corner, slope inverted, not corner inverted. Very big difference. Edge A. Voila! So now the wings are doubled. And then what I'm gonna do is I then have to really hope this works. Again, I need to come to you. I'm going to have to detach. Oh wait, no. That's not going to work. I need to keep the rotor head where it is. I just need to do this. Come over to the rotor head, reduce the rotor displacement. Then I can add you back to where you were. And go back to 0. Nope, don't like the wheel version. Rotor displacement, max. Control X. Yes, then control V, U, right where I... Oh, that copy operation didn't copy where I wanted it to. Stop moving. Right there, control C. Does this... that's too big, so... Delete. V. You're not gonna let me place you there. Unfortunately, I'm going to need to add in another block. And try to figure this out. Actually, you know what? A block wouldn't be a problem, so we'll control X again, yes. Control V. Perfect. Sure. Oh, God. If I do this, the wings on this thing are gonna be fucking huge. Well, actually, you know what? I'm gonna reposition the wing here again. So we'll do the wing on this side. Rotor displacement, reduce U. Good. Control X on the right block. Add on a block. 0 this. U. Rotor displacement all the way back up. V. And then if I just quite simply reverse these two. You, please don't blow up. Share inertial tensor. I definitely need these things to have share inertial tensor on, because otherwise this is going to share inertial tensor on the rotor. Perfect. And if I reverse you, you know what? For a large vehicle with this facing forward, I actually don't mind that design. It's no longer the small vehicle I was hoping it was going to be, but you know what? Fuck it, I guess. Let me just bridge these together. Connect this all the way down to the bottom, because, yep. Good. And then we just simply grab all of the stuff forward and wipe it off. Ah, shit. You know what? I am glad it caught on something. I don't know what it caught on, though. What did you catch on? Oh, you caught on a new block. Good. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so now, instead, this is going to be the forward-facing, which also means that in order for this to reasonably look all right, I have got to bring up from these positions. Let me, M. There we go. I gotta go up from these positions, gotta go back one, then gotta be at least this, at least. Won't let me put it there, but that'll be fine. So I at the very least need to somehow manage to make that work, while still also somehow making it work if I do. I probably will have to redo both of these angles. Let me quickly grab in a... Where the frick's a control panel? Because of the extensive redesigning of this, I am not going to be able to do this in one night like I had hoped. I don't know when I'll end, but... yeah, so now all of a sudden, this becomes my forward viewing. Which... oh, Lord, this is ridiculous. And the bit is that those can't even be, those aren't likely to ever be able to be energies. So this is entirely going to have to work on its own merit design. I don't know, I like this. What's the look? This is what? An extra 1 or 2, so we'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. About 17 blocks wide. That is nearly double the width that I had hoped for. And, you know, Klein really doesn't like this thing. Yeah, I just don't like it. I don't like any of this shit. None of my designs tonight actually worked out how I wanted them to. Too big built. Just too big built. think, yeah, I think the better way to do this would be for a, yeah, for more or less a dual hinge version, where what you sort of have is you sort of have a, you have this hinge, you then sort of have a round section that in the center you either attach a rotor on one side, and I don't know if you'd be able to attach a rotor on the other, but at least a rotor on one side attached sideways to the hinge. That way I can compress the angles a bit, as well as only doing one angle like this at best, and then one half plate, or one full plate at most. None of this 1.5 or, yeah, 1.5 plate height. I need to not do that, so that needs to go. It's cool. I definitely think this is an interesting design. I just don't think this will ever work. It's just not gonna work. Not to this scale. If I wanted to do something similar to this, what I should do is basically where this is, it's like where that is, basically adding in a hinge. So if I just kind of come down here, basically what I should have done to allow for the compactness is to do this. If we just turn off that real quick, do that, and then do the advanced rotor like that, and then run a yeah, then run a half plate like this, with on one side probably running a yeah, on one side running a this, and then probably the this, because I do like the idea of running with these round at the front, but then at the back I probably would run a basically a this, and then maybe running a, I'd be tempted to run a blast door like that, but I think the round might make it look nicer. But running something more like this, with the steeper slope towards the front, that slope towards the back, and then it would allow for the, well, of course, having to cater to that rotation, but now if I was to do this, this could pretty much do exactly what I'd want for rotation. That would work basically exactly how I'd want it to, so I should have just stuck with that scale, because that would allow me to have created wings pretty much how I'd want them to. Basically towards the front. I would have to reverse this, but yeah, that would have been much better. I think I'll probably end up ending stream somewhat shortly. I don't know if anyone who was in chat earlier is still in chat, maybe has some ideas, but yeah, I'm thinking for a smaller vehicle, doing that'll be the best, because then I can use those to more or less act very similar to this, just giving a bit more view, because the other bit is at such a small scale, it would be fairly easy to basically turn it to a flat disc. You know, you do that like that. You run, I don't know, towards the front end, you run a... well, actually, you'd probably want to run on both ends. We'll say this is the front end, or this is the leading end. So you'd run, you know, something like maybe this. You run something maybe like that. And then on the back end, you might run something, I don't know, a little quicker, just something like that. Just kind of do that. Maybe run a slope inverted. Adding in that slope inverted. And then probably doing something sort of basically round edge. Running a, where is it? Adding in this with this. Not that one. This one. Yeah. And just using these as the wings. Potentially that, or just running complete straight backed. Like maybe instead of doing that, doing this. And then we can do a half edge. Rounded edge. Then if I run a something like that, and then adding in like a light, or potentially maybe a rocket launcher or something like this at the end of the wing. You know, something like that at the end of the wing. Or even if I just add in... where's my lights? Adding in something maybe as simple as a... these are only the spotlights. Where are the rest of my lights? There they are. Doing something like a corner light. Doing something like that maybe, or even just cutting that off entirely, running a offset light like that. Yeah, I kind of like that. That'll work pretty well. And then you just kind of use the rest of this to cap it off. Yeah, that is much nicer in scale. It's still a very small wing. You know, I'd probably make it slightly bigger, but that's a much more manageable design and something I can add to a vehicle like this, because at the moment, yeah, this thing is a very compact design, and I would very much like something that can maybe semi-replace it. But yeah, at the moment, I think I'm just gonna have to call it a day. Just because if I continue for too much longer, I'm gonna be not giving myself enough time to slow down the idea. But yeah, I don't know. I think I want a ship small enough to fit within a 5-block space, but to be able to be long enough to be imposing. And I think the part that I'm going to have a hard time with is if I try to do a little bit closer to the, a little bit closer to the Aurora, then what I'll be doing is I'll basically be 90-degree turn, more or less these straight-winged panels, which can look pretty good. I'm just uncertain about that. I guess the other thing I could do, if I wanted to make it look maybe... the smallest I could get would be autocannons. I could, in theory, add autocannons to it. The other bit is if I go straight, if I move these straight, then guns that are only forward firing would work. Because I do in fact have that mod now installed for the weapons mod. So I could make it work. Yeah. Because the idea primarily would be, yeah, I'm gonna go back into the other world real quick. And I'm gonna just kind of get an idea. Because I guess what I'd want to do is I'd want to try to decide, even if I'm going to continue building the big thing, on this style. Because I think that's the other issue, is I'm still not set on style. I sort of built that more or less after I knew the space I had to work with, which made it a lot easier to build that. So I think what I might do is I might make a couple of alterations to some things in this version. Yeah. I do like this design. And I think I know how to make it work well, but... oh. Yeah. It'll be an interesting one to see how I can make certain design elements fit. But I think I'll quickly look at this design, give some ideas, and then I think the thing I might do for the last bit is I might try to run a basic squad visualizer test for myself to try to decide on how I want squads in my universe. Because, of course, certain vehicles in the universe are going to be squad vehicles. These are going to be, you know, how many for the squad. I'll also have to decide on, you know, squadrons, wings, those sorts of counts, which are going to be ridiculous. Because, yeah, I think I'd want most of the capital class ships to carry at least one wing of fighters, with capital, you know, at least most of them to carry about a wing of fighters, which I would consider to be probably 20 fighters, like 24 fighters or something like that, maybe. But to carry that many fighters, all capital class vessels are going to need very large hangars. And not every capital vessel is supposed to be the biggest thing in the world. Because at the moment, right? Oh. Apparently I was doing that. Yeah, at the moment, if I was to, let's say, add a floor here, right? if I was to just do nothing but add a floor and mark out about the scale of fighters, right? So the 11 sized fighters would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I am going to just run with these green 4 corner markers, so these are the internal markers, so that's that. Then we come over here. Yeah, that looks about right. Good, so that would be there. That would be there. Oh, right, I want to, good. So we'll just re-add these. This would be on just 1 floor, and this would be a 2-floored hangar. Plus some extra room if I wanted it. So that would be, what, 6 fighters? Plus, let's say I want to... how wide is the remaining section? Remaining section is 1, 2, 3, that. Okay. So the remaining section's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that's 22. 23 wide, which means that at the 11 point, which is how wide the other fighters or how long the other fighters are, I could in theory set up 2 rows of fighters, right? Because that is the end of 1 fighter. So yeah, I could then basically do a, where is it? Right. I was using this color. But yeah, in theory, I could do this. Right there, but yeah. Do that. Which means that on each layer, I could, in theory, fit, without adding any extra space to the hangar, a full wing, because that is 12 on a floor, and I have 2 floors. And that is just on ready-to-launch positions. That doesn't even count anything else. So this already would be able to carry 1 wing. Plus any additional space I give to the hangar, because right now you basically have both sides being able to open up and launch 6. So I would be able to launch all with just, all right, first 6, go. Or actually, no, first 12, go. All right, they're gone. Second ones, go. So I'd be able to launch a full wing in just 2 from every hangar port. So this is just ridiculous in scale. Yeah. Not to mention any other vehicle that I want to make in this thing, because if I just go down this 11 block gap, if I wanted to, I can probably create a 11 block wide vehicle, if not smaller, that should be able to then dock in this section. So I'd have two larger gunboat types carried with 14 9 by 11 by 4 fighters, or 9 by 11 by 3, so pretty much what I've made. and I can carry 24 of them without much effort. Not to mention, of course, any other fighters that we might have stacked on the back and the front, or other vehicles that are, you know, going to be too big to launch out of those ports, such as, you know, anything that I'd need to drop out the bottom of the ship, because that would also be an option. This thing is fucking huge. So, the other bit is, if I wanted to design a ship like my small fighters, right, which are 4 wide, that would mean that, in theory, if I just go to this yellow, that would mean, in theory, that that'd be 1, 2... Yeah, mine are what? They fit within a 3-block wide area, which means that in theory, I could fit 3 wide. Let me test that theory. Where is it? I remember it's near... Getting close. There we go. Yeah, so... if I was to do this again, with reasonable space, I can fit 3 wide, and these are only, how long? 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 long. So in theory, I can fit 6 in the size of the other one. Not to mention, they're only like a block in height, basically. So in theory, if I was to design this for 2-block high exit ports, I could, in theory, launch a grand total of, like, if I just made this like 3 blocks taller or something like that, I'd be able to launch probably close to a 3 by 3 by, so it's 3 by 2 per port, so that's 6 per port. There's 6 ports, so that's what, 36 light fighters folded in the current design. I'd probably want that to only be 2 per larger heavy fighter, but with wings folded, of course. But even still, that's ridiculous. And I think what I might do with the wings folded is I might end up just doing standard wings folded, but maybe fold up so I get height, since I'm not as limited by height this time. Since I do have a full 4, and I'm not trying to stack them sardine tight, height-wise. But this is just ridiculous in scale. Yeah. To be able to make a light fighter or a set of fighters that are going to work in this thing is just going to be ridiculous. And I still have to decide whether I want to keep this design, because I was looking at a lot of RSI ships and Star Citizen, and that's giving me a lot of interesting ideas. Because right now, I don't know if I want to keep the design. I don't know if I want to keep this design. I don't know. I'm hesitant. I think the only way that I'd want to keep it, or that I think it would look good keeping it, would be more or less taking these ports, right? And, you know, maybe cutting a little bit off the top, but still doing... let me get my color. Still doing, you know, like, all the way up to here, so that's still a full, big chunk, at least this deep out, if not probably actually deeper out, backward, plus adding on this. So basically doing exactly what I've done here, both sides, doing one beneath and one above, and maybe one forward and one slightly back. Maybe that might look good, but for now it's both above, and I don't know if I like that design. I might if I make something that kind of supposed to slot down there, but I don't know. Just that's the problem with trying to work on things, is that I get to a point where I've got an idea, but the idea is going to require so much work. Because the other bit is I'm also tempted to I am tempted to try to make or improve on a design of turret on, where is it? On this thing. This is going to lag like crazy, but yeah, I'm tempted to redesign these turrets as large grid. Because honestly, I think these are probably some of the best defensive turrets that I've made, at least in terms of operation as turrets and their kind of look. And it's this. They don't have the greatest height, but these would be your kind of regular naval turret. I like this design. If I was to do this in large blocks, which who knows whether that would look good or not, that would put given the extent of the height, probably 1, 2, 3 large blocks tall, so not overly tall. These are fairly small form factor. Like, I could, in theory, build a ton of these. I mean, their width is a little ridiculous for large grid. 1, 2, 3, 4, so what, 7? So these would be about 7 blocks wide. So if I was to, you know, add them here, that would be another 1. It'd be another, what, 2 on each side? Yeah, so I'd be able to reduce that. So in theory, I could fit 2 sets here, which honestly is ridiculous, and they're not too difficult to do. So honestly, I might be able to do it. I do love this design, though. I absolutely do. I think this is probably some of my best work. If I wanted to finish the plating on this stupid thing, though, it would be a nightmare to do. Because you'd have to follow a very specific plating structure. But it does look beautiful, and I think it's really cool design. I do like the kind of almost naval kind of style with the with the turret ridge. And then of course you've got your rocket, your standard guns, and then of course all your guns up top. But yeah, I definitely want to try to do something with those sorts of turrets. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's just difficult. At this point, it's just difficult because no matter what I do, I don't think there's going to be a good way to build anything from this design in front of me. I like it, and I think it's cool. I don't know how the heck I can make it look or work in the way that I want it to. I just don't. I think if I want to redesign it, I have to really, really, really think about what I want in the design, and I don't know if I know what I want in the design. I don't know if I know what I want in terms of its general shape, because right now, this thing I feel like should be with whiter in the center. Like, it should be whiter, but I don't know how to make it whiter. Right? Like, if I make it much whiter, then I mean, I don't know. Because I could make it whiter, right? I could make it whiter and do sort of a 3-tier area. I think if I was going to make it whiter, though, I would want to make the bottom section taller. So it's sort of more cross-shaped. So, like, maybe bringing that bottom area down just a tad bit further before coming back, and then kind of maybe sweeping up. If I was to do that. But again, I don't know, because if I was to do that, I'd probably want to do a dual stacked engine placement. But if I also want to maybe sweep down the back, right? Because right now the problem is it's straight sweep up, which is all right. But I honestly feel like if I'm gonna do that kind of thing, I almost need maybe a rear tower of some kind, like a rear bridge tower. Even if that's not the main bridge, but I don't know. Either way, I don't think Naresh is here right now, so I don't know if he's got anything for me to react to. I do want to mention something. Tomorrow I will probably be doing a stream as well, because, well, I like the idea of doing a birthday stream. I think it'd be kind of fun. Or technically it's today. It'll just be later today, since it is past midnight in my time. So I guess if you're here, yay, you get to I'll end up getting to see both parts of my birthday then. But yeah. Alright. I think I'm gonna call it here, just because I had a lot of ideas while I was at work today. Then I started building, and that building really showed me I didn't know what I was doing. And I really should have thought about what I was trying to design before beginning, but I just didn't. So I have spent 3 hours confused and failing to build what I wanted to build. It's unfortunate, but this is why I usually try to keep in very, very heavy enthusiasm before I start doing anything. But either way, thank you all for coming out and watching. I have been Captain Tundraxis, signing off.